What's good? Welcome to First Stream Podcast presented by Bet Rivers. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the First Stream Podcast. Give us that good thumbs up. It helps us. And don't forget to hit the bell to enable alerts for new content just like this. On today's show, a First Stream Podcast, we have Darrell Owens from the Legacy Report. He's going to clear that up for me here in a second. We're going to get into a couple of different things. We're going to get you ready for the championship round, but we're going to look first at the divisional round of the playoffs. We're going to talk Wizards today, the Rui Hachimura trade to the Lakers, and what does that mean for the future? And we're going to talk a little Washington Commanders OC search. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get into it. Let's go.
Artlist.io.
Welcome back to First Stream Podcast presented by Bet Rivers. Make sure you download the Bet Rivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. You know you must be 21 years or older to play. Well, it's time to get into it. It's time to bring the squad in. We always start with my right-hand man, Said Stats and Facts. He's going to keep us up to date, keep us on our toes, but I think he's still wearing a national championship hat today.
Still celebrating.
He's still celebrating. I think this is not called a celebration anymore. It's called loitering now.
Hey, I got at least another week till my other hat and shirt get in. Then I'll shut it down.
Wait,
I take it back. And my flag ain't came in yet either.
We got a new flag going to the background. Okay, great. I can't stand this right now. Can't stand this. Well, let's move on from Sid real fast. And so from the happy end of the spectrum, we're going to go to the sad end of the spectrum. But we're going to have a therapy session with this young man a little later. We're going to bring in Antmo. How you doing, sir?
Just got my hat in my hand, man. That's all I bring today.
Hat in hand, huh?
Hey,
it's okay.
You know.
Hey, welcome to the couch. Welcome to the couch.
I mean, I gotta be in a bed at least. Yeah, the couch is for losers who don't make the playoffs.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at least in the bed now.
Let's see. Let's bring in the lady that got Snuggies for everybody, and we'll talk about my background here in a minute. Hello, Lady A.
Hello. And
how are you?
The couch is where you sit to view the Super Bowl.
Oh, I recline on my bed.
If you want to be on that type of couch that got the recliner on the end, that's fine. It's still a couch.
We're gonna do full times.
You're gonna be on the couch with everybody else watching the Super Bowl.
Have a seat right here.
It's just like the losers that want people to be with
them.
No.
It's just like a Dallas fan to be doing all this.
But doing all the extra.
Mm-hmm, all right. The extra, the most.
Lady A, let's tell everybody what's going on here. What's wrong with my background?
Nothing's wrong with your background.
All right. Well, I'm not at home.
There you go.
I'm on the road. My son is graduating from boot camp. And of course, y'all know Lady A made the reservations. Who gets the points? She do. Who gets the pay? I do. That's how she does this thing.
That's my
you need to get you a room with good lighting.
Get me a room with good lighting. Let's bring in our guest, Mr. Darrell Owens. How are you, sir?
Hey, man. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for having me on the podcast today. Very excited to be here.
We are excited to have you here because things just happen to break right for us today. As we all know, Rui Hachimura was traded from the Washington Wizards. Lady A is repping the Wizards today as they play the Dallas Mavericks. Ant is watching the game here in about 30 minutes, but the Wizards are shorthanded. No Porzingis, no Rui Hachimura. Rui's off for three second round picks and none.
Wow.
What does this mean?
Okay. Well, I'll put it like this. From what I've seen,
from this Wizards team this year is a lot of disappointment. So I'll go ahead and say that right off the bat. Because at the beginning of the season, you see this team and you say, man, wow, look what they got. You got Porzingis. When he's healthy, he can be dangerous. You got Kuzma, who was starting to kind of, just like he has potential to be a really good piece. And we've seen that this year. And then you have Bradley. Now, if Bradley can come in and be the consistent Bradley, we're in really good shape, right? Well, unfortunately, for most of the season, we've had to you had to see this team battle through injuries back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Hell, Brad's out a couple of weeks for hamstrings. It's just a consistent thing. They haven't been able to keep a team on the court the entire season, like just to be healthy. Last week was the first time since the beginning of the season that they had the entire team with no injuries. The first time all season. And as soon as they get healthy for the first time all season, down goes Porzingis, bye-bye Rui. The vibe changed. I was at the last game that I attended was the Wizards and the Warriors game, and the vibe just started to change. Rui didn't look like he wanted to be there, or if we don't know for sure if they had already told him that they were shopping him, but his whole attitude had changed, and you knew something was coming down the pike. They already didn't want to pay him. Or they had already talked about, hey, Kuzma's more of our the person that we want to pay. We want to keep Porzingis, and they were starting to leave no room for Rui. So they needed a point guard, and Kendrick Nunn is a solid point guard. Does he move the needle? No.
Nope.
It gives them a little depth, but you just lost. It's like you gained, but you lost at the same time, y'all.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a rough deal. They just got to figure that thing out.
Is this a move for the future as well? Because you had to choose between a player in their prime and a player that you drafted that hasn't developed. And I think Rui told the organization that he wanted a new start.
He did.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of, you see the draft picks, which, second round picks are,
hit or miss.
That's going to be a lot of international players, that you pick up, and hopefully that they turn into something great down the road. It could be, a stud that was in college that who knows goes out and surprises us down the road. And it could work out to something, but I think it's like the 29th, the 2029 draft. I think the 27 draft. So it's like down the road. Yeah. So it's going to be a while before those draft picks are even really come into fruition. For me, this team is too, well, initially on paper, too talented to be playing the way they've been playing. And it's a little sad. I don't know if that goes a little bit into coach, and you say, well, maybe coach is not doing a job, but I don't know if it's all him, man. It might be a culture thing, which is unfortunate. Fixing the culture is usually a really tough deal for an organization that's used to not being, maybe in that mix all the time. So it's a tough deal all the way around.
Lady A.
I just want y'all to know that when Ryu came to the Wizards, I was very excited. I went to a lot of games that season. It was entertaining to see all the young gentlemen that would not normally be in that atmosphere standing there with signs with his name on it. He represented a whole nother country, so that was a big deal. But he looked like my son. And I used to think that was so funny. And but he was a great player as well. And so now I feel like my son just left me and I don't know what to do, because why is Ryu gone? He was a great player, but I understand what's needed by the team. But it's sad to see him go, because we saw him, start to develop and grow and all of that, coming over to the team. So it's bittersweet. It really is. And yes, he did want to go. I don't really know exactly what happened to make him feel like it. All of a sudden, it was just like, I want to go. And I was like, whoa, don't go. No. But
I think some of that had to do with Kyle Kuzma. Because
So you think so?
Yeah, I think because if you look at the way that the team plays with Brad and without Brad, right? Your number one player is back. Kyle Kuzma takes a step back and lets Brad be the number one. But when Brad is out, he gets more shots. and he carries the team, and he plays. He'll play as he needs to, and I think he's starting to come into his own. Remember, he played with people like Kobe. He
Yeah.
played with LeBron for a little
Yeah.
while, so now I think he's about to take a huge step forward. And when him and Brad learn how to play together, it's
Yeah.
going to be amazing. And then
So
throw
you think
Porzingis
Ryu
in that,
wanted to leave because Kyle was stepping up?
there's not enough shots for everybody.
Mm.
Well, guys, I think we're looking at two different scenarios of what the player actually was. You look at the game before he was traded, dropped 30 points, right?
Yeah.
So that could kind of lend to what Lady A believes is a great player. But then shout out to Ref the District. I seen this on Twitter and I want to go back to it. He's 92nd in scoring, 108th in rebounding, and has never played more than 57 games in 3+ seasons. It's more to the story than just what we hope him to be. Like, he sounds like he can't stay on the floor. And if he can't consistently be healthy for that team, we don't know what his cap is going to be. And unless there's some other great explanation for why he can't stay on the floor and stay healthy, there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to do anything over there with the Lakers either. So, like y'all said earlier, those second round picks don't typically equate to anything, but I guess we'll see. I'd rather take none who I think is going to play hard and, can gel to be a floor general than, the guy who may show flashes at times versus when is he going to actually be available to the team.
Well, kind of what Darrell said, it's a culture thing now with the Wizards, and that needs to change.
They could always hire Ron Rivera.
Right. Ryu is not, no.
3 to 5 years.
Ryu is not a bad player, but if you notice, there's a common issue. None of our players are staying healthy. Everyone's always getting hurt.
Training staff.
We're talking about Brad and Kyle trying to be on the court at the same time. They've both been on the team at the same time, but both being healthy at the same time, that's an issue. So
that would be Brad and Porzingis staying healthy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Right. But even with Kyle, they're not on the court that often together either. Brad doesn't stay healthy.
Yeah, I think he needs to stop eating those.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, we don't know everything within the locker room that's happened that's for him not to be on the court.
Right.
But him being traded to the Lakers, I mean, there are pieces that Lakers need to do to try to turn that team around. We already know about the AD situation. But with them doing that, what does it mean? Does it mean that the Lakers are getting him for the expiring contract? Or what? We don't know. But of those second round picks, they get one for this year, 2023. So that may pan out for them. They may get them more than enough picks in the second round to help rebuild that squad, which is what in the long run they need to do. Start getting younger and try to get better at the same time. There are quite a few prospects out there for this year.
I'm glad you actually brought that up because this year's draft, and Darrell, you could help me out with this because Darrell covers a lot of Virginia basketball and college areas and things like that. The Wizards are terrible at drafting.
Terrible.
They are terrible with the capitals. Terrible.
We had an article drop on that today on Inside the Wizards. We had an article drop about that today. My man David Harrison wrote about the Tommy Shepard regime, and it was one key factor that was kind of mind blowing to me. The draft picks that they've had there. I think in the last 25 years, only 4 of their draft picks have lasted more than 5 years.
Wow.
Everybody has been 4 years or under, or were gone within the 4-year span.
Yeah.
So the drafting has been absolutely miserable for this team.
So is it time to clean out the scouting department? Or is it the people that we're choosing, or is it the scouting department? But what's leading to this whole thing? You have your area scouts, you got your college, different things like that, and they all come back and meet. And are they thinking that? You had a chance to draft Kawhi. Kawhi was still on the board, and you took a player that we don't even have no more.
Tyrese Halliburton. He thought he was coming to DC. That came out a couple weeks ago. They was talking about it, and I think they ended up drafting. I think it was Denny that they ended up drafting.
Denny.
Yeah, so they ended up drafting Denny, and you could have had Halliburton. That's your point guard situation right there, fixed. Because Halliburton has been playing really good, the past 2 seasons. There's your fix right there at the point guard position potentially. So they just been missing on picks, and it's crazy.
And if anybody know about bad picks, it's me in Atlanta. We had the opportunity to get CP3.
Yeah.
And then when it took some dude from Europe, huh?
Well, and then I'm wondering, Sid, because that was the rap that the Mavericks had for a long time.
But they hit
They
on
were
some
so
players.
bad. They were so bad at it that they did one of those same moves, and I can't remember the player. But instead of drafting a player, we picked a guy who was already in the league and decided to go back overseas instead of playing for us.
Wow.
I can't remember who it was, but he was a good player, but it was a bad gamble. And then I'm wondering if that's part of Washington's thing now. That was also a thing for the Dallas Mavericks, that they said choice players didn't want to go to Dallas for a long time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then to go back to earlier with Lady A saying, Beal, I know that we feel like these players today are softer than the players from the 80s and 90s, but the reality is this: Bradley Beal has been by himself for a long time, a very high usage player. And that stuff will wear and tear on you when you're called to be the guy night in, night out, high minutes. That stuff will start catching up. They have to get him help. He signed a contract. They paying him the money, but you got to put somebody around that guy before you squander all the rest of his prime years, you know?
Yeah.
Let me get at you for a second real fast. Let me get in here. And we're going to come right back with where Ant left off at. I'm sorry, we're 16 minutes in. I haven't said hello to everybody in the chat. We got Bruce Glass in the chat as well. Always thank you for your support. We got Kyle showing up and said, I think he's talking to you when he says this first. 28.
That ain't right, man. Come on,
He's
Kyle.
back.
Talk about that Atlanta game for you.
Don't do him like that, Kyle.
Yeah, he do it to him every time.
You do him like this every single time.
That's how Cal announces his presence all the time, every time, right? And he goes, good evening, Bruce. And then I acknowledge Cal. Cal in the building. It's time to make money because he's cashing checks. We got Big Money Sonny in the building.
Big Money
And then,
Sonny.
hey, here's one of my new favorite people that shows up. This is Steelers Queen Coco. We have so much fun with Coco. She'll be joining us on Sunday during the AFC portion of the championship rounds. Ron O'Neill's in the building. He said Rui was a head case. Rui's a head case.
Oh, Wadden.
And I think that's part of
talking about her baby like that. Come on,
that's
now.
part of that
Talk
culture
about my
we talking
son.
about. And our guy Hawk TV is in the building, and he said another top 10 pick wasted for Washington. And he said Nas said I think the Atlanta Hawks had more success than the Wizards. His keyboard got stuck there for a minute. And he asked you a question. He said CP3 now or CP3 then or ice trade now. And I think you replied,
I would have been CP3 back then, because think of the core we had. We had a core that took the Boston Celtics to 7 games without a point guard. We needed a big man, but we needed a point guard more than anything else to distribute the ball. We took them. We weren't even supposed to be in the Eastern Final Conference Finals that year.
He's a generational player.
You got
one of the greatest of all time.
Yep. Okay, listen. Lady A, this is for you. She says, Lady J, do you really want me to listen to y'all talk Wizards? Do y'all really
She said football.
Talk football?
No,
because basketball right now.
Yeah, Eagles fan.
She's an Eagles fan. Well, we're gonna get into that.
She's an Eagles fan.
And then said he's getting at you with Mike Bibby right here. You don't get Hawk started on basketball. I tell you, Hawk TV on basketball, that's his jam right there. Whoa, she hit you with the whole last name.
Yeah.
You know who I'm
That's my last name, but that's all right. She trying to she acting like a mama right now.
And Hawk TV right here.
Y'all not gonna keep talking about my
Come
baby
on, man.
like that.
Come on, man. Hey.
Oh, washing machine.
Yeah, traded for
That's wrong. Don't talk about my baby like that.
You're just crashing your baby. That's crazy.
I love our chat, man. Listen, hey, we trade people for the left sneaker.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
We traded somebody for a candy bar and a pack of chips.
Oh my goodness.
It was an open bag of chips that we
That's why I talk about my baby real.
And now he got traded for a washing machine. Pretty soon we're gonna have a whole house. I'm telling you. We're gonna have a
What's
whole
the
house.
chips that y'all eat up there? What's the name of them chips?
Yeah, Utz.
I seen some at
Utz.
the store. They look like the blandest. I said, "There's no way I'm buying
I
these."
tell you,
I never ate. I don't eat chips,
Yeah,
so and
they're
I
pretty
worked
good.
for their competitor
pretty
back in
good?
the day.
The
I'm
barbecue.
check it.
Hey, you need to come on to the other side now. They a potential sponsor. Utz are delicious.
Now they at the store right across the street. So
You
I'm
need
gonna
to go
check them
get
out.
you a pack. You need to go get you a pack.
I'm gonna check them out tomorrow.
Them
Honey,
Utz is-
honey barbecue.
I
You
start
get-
with a bag. I don't know about a pack.
Before you go buy some chips, it best be an antenna attached to it.
I went to 2 stores and didn't see an antenna. They looked at me like I was crazy.
Because they all said you was taking too long.
Oh, you did. Hey, listen, say it. Talk
sold
about that.
all the antennas in the store.
I said, now mind you, these gen whatevers. I said, you have antenna there? They were like, I have no clue. I was like, all right. I guess they
I
won't see me.
walked right in the Walgreens, right there on the floor, picked up and walked back out.
It's a
Said you
digital
need to show- you
antenna
need
for
to
your
show-
TV.
I know
You
what
need
it
to
is.
show-
The 2 stores I
Why
went
they
to
don't know what
have
that
it.
is?
Yeah, they sure don't. These kids is they
No,
don't-
I know what they is. Yeah, they don't know. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what I'm saying. Why
Hey,
they don't know what it is?
They
Look.
only know streaming.
Look at what Hawk just said.
Yeah,
That's true.
Utz, baby. Look.
Yep.
That's true.
Guts have held the hood down for years.
For years, they're a potential sponsor, bro. I'm trying to tell you. I'm talking to them. Let's get that Utz money. Let's go, Utz. Let's get it done. Barbecue. He liked the barbecue, the rippled barbecue. Hey,
Oh Lord,
I
y'all about to
am
make
the
Hawk
sour
hungry.
cream, the rippled sour cream. Yep.
I ain't gonna lie, them kettle joints is.
Oh, look, there it
Jeez.
is. Look,
The
he
kettle
dropped
joints
a
could go
bomb.
too hard for you, boy.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes some of them
Hey.
joints be a little
Oh
too.
my, hey,
crunchy. I ain't
dude,
gonna lie.
we drifted. My bad. We drifted.
We are. Let's get that.
We was supposed to have this combo. Nah, we
Our
supposed to have
chat-
this type of combo on our
Hey,
streaming.
we not
our
streaming. We not
party
streaming the
game.
game today. We're not streaming the game. Okay.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's get back to that one.
Y'all just all over the place.
Because y'all know I love the chat. I love our chat group, man. I love our chat group. They stick with us. And they hang in there with us. But listen, we gotta acknowledge them. But let's keep David's time. I'm sorry, Darrell's time. Where we can keep it at. All right,
You good,
listen,
brother.
Roger.
You mentioned David. That's our folks too. That's why.
that's our we had David on before Darrell, and we tried to work Darrell in the same week. But so we Ant was talking about missing on the trades and getting these guys to jail. Do you think that if we get when we re-sign Kuz, that him, Braden, or Porzingis next year is the year that they should take off after a full year this year? Because they're disappointing this year. It may be a jailing time. Like the Heat didn't win a championship their first year, their big three.
No, not at all.
It
Believe
was
me, I
the
remember.
second year that they really took off.
Well, we're not comparing. Come on now.
No,
They
no,
went
we're
to
not.
the
No, I'm not
finals that
comparing.
year though.
We did. We got to the finals that year, so I was good with that.
Right. But I'm just saying, give them a year to jail, let Brad get his body right, and then they come out next year and they kick Philadelphia's teeth in and get and they go. Don't forget, they still got to get through Boston, Philly. Ice Trae will probably have a new coach and he'll be good. And then you got to think about Miami is always a dog in the East, not to mention everybody's big brothers, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because like for me, the biggest problem with the Wizards, let's say that they're all healthy. All right. If they all are healthy for the majority of the year, their problem is depth. They don't have any depth on that team. People that they can truly rely coming off the bench. I think Will Barton has been a disappointment this year.
Yes.
I really thought that, him and Monte Morris would be a critical part, because they know, what type of coach what Coach Unseld is. They had him, they were in Denver with him. So I thought, man, it was gonna be a great pickup. Barton has been disappointing. Denny's had moments here and there. Getting DeLon Wright was big for them when he first came back, because you could tell the energy on the team changed defensively. He definitely brings a different presence defensively on that team. But it's like, for me, I just don't feel like they have the right pieces of coming off the bench that can truly help this team. And so for me, until they get that, and what Hawk is saying, they're a point guard. Those two pieces are critical. And if they can't get those two pieces, a solid point guard that can run that floor, somebody can just take control. It doesn't have to be like a superstar. They have to score 25, 35, but somebody that can truly direct that traffic out there. They don't have that on that team. And they've got to just gotta find a way to get some depth on that team. It's just not there. The depth's not there.
Mhm.
Right. All right. We're going to turn the channel to football now. We gave the Wizards a good 20 minutes. That's about as much time as they can get today. All right.
Hey,
That's about as much time as they can get.
Yeah.
That was
But
solid.
hey,
That was nice.
When you perform, you get more time.
Yeah.
When you middle around, you get less time. All right.
I got my hoodie on though.
Yeah, you do got your hoodie on.
That's it.
Let's start to look at this. How I want to take a room check. Okay. And here's my question. Ron Rivera is in a lame duck year, pretty much, right? I'm gonna call it a lame duck year because the situation is not known. New owners coming in and things of that nature with a clean house. You fired your offensive coordinator, and now you're trying to hire someone else, and you just lost your defensive backs coach in David Harris to the Tennessee Titans. You have 2 coaching vacancies to fill. You've interviewed about 1,000 offensive coordinators.
A strong 1,000.
All right. You didn't know that your defensive back coach was not under contract, and you didn't know that you could miss the playoffs.
Right there. That hurts my soul still.
Oh boy, saying it
Is
out loud.
anybody ever from the outside is anyone going to take this job from the outside? Or is this just a facade with these offensive coordinator searches? I want the room's temperature on this. Darrell, we'll start with you.
It's funny, man. Like I was at the last press conference they had at the end of the year. And they were asking questions, to back and forth to Mayhew and Rivera, and just listening to them talk. When you go and look at this team, obviously he is a lame duck coach. So I'll give you that 100% because we don't know what the new ownership is going to do, and they're more likely going to want to change the pace. Whoever they hire, I really do feel like they're going to hire somebody within and just kind of shoot from there. And I hope they don't. And I think if you're Ron, you better think you need to find somebody who's going to change everything. Like you need somebody who's going to go in there and potentially save your job for another year or potentially give you a longer time there. Because I will give Ron Rivera this much credit. I feel like he was probably the right coach under everything that has been transpiring over the last couple of years for this team. I think he's done the best he could maybe not on the coaching front, but just like trying to navigate through all the craziness. I think he has done a good job for the most part. Most of this stuff ain't been his fault. Most of this stuff has been outside wounds that he's tried to fix, and so I'll give him that. But if it was me and I had to choose the offensive coordinator for this team, a couple of names that I saw that kind of interested me was Jim Caldwell was one. I really thought that if you get a guy like Jim, this is the guy that got the Lions to the playoffs in back-to-back years. Not a lot of people can say that. So not a lot of people can say that. And Caldwell's a great offensive coordinator.
Don't rile up Lady A.
No, look, he's a great offensive coordinator.
Right.
And I think you hate
I hate the Lions.
You hate the Lions. Oh, I'm telling you. So I feel like he would be a great choice. I've seen some other names. I think the gentleman from Florida, that's from Miami, he looked like he could be a good choice. That offense was clicking at points and times this year, but I know that they want to run the ball first. So that's what he screamed about in that press conference. Him and Martin was like, we like to run the ball first. We're a run first team. So when you look at these offensive coordinators, look at offensive coordinator that's thinking run first, because that's what they're thinking. And right. So if whoever's got the closest thing to that is probably going to be their best choice, which makes me think is going to be somebody within.
Somebody within.
Yep.
All right. Ant, how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. Listen, first of all, you have no idea what this franchise is going to do. I thought the team would have been sold by now. How sad would you be as an organization if you get to the next season and that dude is still running this franchise? There's going to be a lot of people jumping off whatever bridge that y'all got out there. So that's the first thing.
We got a couple of them.
I'm about to say the Woodrow Wilson, man.
We got a couple of them. Hit the Woodrow Wilson.
They trying to jump off that bridge, and no.
Jumping into the Anacostia River.
Right.
But secondly, I think the only thing that makes sense is to keep it in house. If you don't know who your head coach is going to be, and you don't know who the owner is going to be, you don't want to bring a new guy in and then have to get rid of him. It's too much work. You know, the guys within are going to know the best what Ron wants to do. Even with him being a lame duck coach, it only makes sense to keep it in house. And I mean, nobody seems qualified, but what are you expecting at this point? They're a good team. They got a lot of talent, admittedly so, but it's just a bad position to be in as a franchise right now when you have no clue what's gonna happen. And and if we're being honest, with the exception of selling the team, it kind of was the same this past offseason. So get your guy in house and hope that he could do something that the last guy couldn't do.
Mm.
Hey, okay, I'm gonna get to your slim and none here in a little bit. Lady A, how do you feel about this thing?
So I kind of understand where you guys are coming from, and that probably should happen. Darrell, I have to disagree with you about Ron doing okay.
I can understand that.
Ron, bless his heart, was trash. Okay.
Hey,
everybody
tell us how you feel
on the coaching staff is probably going to be gone
whole squad
very soon, because this entire franchise is known to fail at this point. That's what we're known for. And a new owner would come in trying to clean house. Very few people are going to be able to survive that. So do we just, leave it as is for right now, throw somebody in that spot? Sure, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you're the head and you're responsible for the entire team, it's your responsibility to make sure that team works, is functional, and can actually go somewhere. With that said, just the simple fact that he didn't know that we were up for the playoffs and could possibly leave that position speaks volumes to me. It speaks about his mindset. So I feel like you, as a head coach, you're trash if you don't know that. And you allowed Scott Turner to run the entire team into the ground. You allowed it because as a head coach, that's what you did. So Ron he sucks. He's trash. Bless his heart. As a person, I'm not saying that as a person. I'm saying it as a head coach. You know?
I'm gonna get into something that we talked about, and I think I did this maybe before when Seawall was on with us, right? And she told us, she said, Ron was brought here to change the culture, right?
Yep.
She said he didn't get hired to get us to a Super Bowl. He got hired to change the culture. So we had a question as a panel that we asked everybody was, did Deion Sanders do his job in bringing the attention to HBCUs? And we said he did, but his job wasn't finished. Ron Rivera says it takes 3 to 5 years to change the culture. He's at year 4, right? He's at year 4. The culture has been changed. He's not the coach to get us to a Super Bowl. He's done his job. He didn't leave a year early. He's done his job. His job was to change the culture. You did that. You're a D to C coach. We need a B to an A coach now to come in and finish the job. Here's my example of that. I think it was wrong, but it happened. Tony Dungy was in Tampa Bay and got that team that close to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right? That close to a Super Bowl. John Gruden then comes in and finishes the job. But what did he do? He sent Coach Dungy a Super Bowl ring because he knew that wasn't his team.
Yeah.
He knew that wasn't his team at all.
That was a well-respected man right there. So he did right.
Right. So, Sid, you did get a chance to answer the question. The question was, and I know you were watching, is our OC search a facade? Are they hiring somebody from within?
I think it's a facade because the simple fact is the new ownership may come in and want to get rid of everybody. Now, again, like I told y'all before, Sean Payton is still out there. And he's been interviewed by a lot of teams.
But he hasn't taken one job yet.
Now, he hasn't taken one job yet. Now, there's two things you got to watch out for. Whether or not the Cowboys ditch old boy.
And not.
Which I think is happening.
Which I don't. And then the new ownership for the Washington. Because remember, Sean Payton is one of the guys who like to pick his players.
Yeah.
As we see, he won the chip in New Orleans. You know, and they were viable for years even after they won the Super Bowl. They were viable. You know, contenders even throughout. So I think more or less it's a facade. But one way or the other, they got to get somebody in there because the draft is around the corner.
That way got jokes. I'm sorry.
What do you say?
I would be. Hawk TV, you're talking my language, buddy. I would be grateful to y'all if y'all took him off our hands.
Man, look, don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something.
Do that.
I'm gonna tell you something. If we hire that dude, they will find out what airport he's landing at, and he would not be allowed to sign a contract.
That's crazy. They're gonna stop him before he get out the airport.
They're gonna stop him before he gets to the airport.
They're gonna be on the runway pit.
Yes. Do you think that we want to know exactly hit him with the Mutombo all the time? You in the wrong city, bro. No.
You can go back to Dallas, please, sir.
Have you seen it?
Hey, that's a one-way ticket, buddy.
No.
I
am not condoning killing somebody, but you know how they have the bomb sniffing dogs and they look around the car and everything like that. He gonna need all of that before he get in his car because they be like, "No, Kevin,
now don't get it twisted. He was better than y'all's guy now.
Oh no doubt.
Now he's shooting shots too.
All right, let's get to Hawk.
All I know is as long as they stay away from University of Georgia, I really don't care. Tom Munkin, I don't want Tom Munkin to go nowhere. At least one more year.
We need
at least one more year.
Don't worry about it. He gone.
Hawk asked a question here. He goes like, pretty much, if you only have one spot in the diner, would you live it to the fullest? And he thinks that's what Ron Rivera and company should do, which is absolutely true. I think the only way that Ron Rivera and his coaching staff does not get fired is you don't have to make the playoffs. You got to be in the divisional championship round.
It's too late for that right now.
No, this
past year.
You should have, but this year coming up,
Super Bowl defense,
that's
man.
The only way that you do not get fired if you're Ron Rivera. Anything less than the championship round of the playoffs, you're fired. Because
Ron should have did that when he had the opportunity to get to the playoffs before.
He fought for 500.
I'm just making sure I heard it right. Did somebody say Super Bowl defense?
I said Super Bowl caliber defense. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it.
I feel you. I was just
I mean,
know what you've been drinking before you came.
No. Look, I'm just saying, like, you got to look at it. That defense played lights out for the most part of the year. I mean, the beginning part was a little rough. They had a little rough string towards it, but they have potential to be a Super Bowl caliber defense. The problem is they couldn't get the offense at times to kind of connect with them when they were playing lights out. There was a couple games where they were that defense was keeping them alive.
That's true.
And the offense just couldn't get it. I mean, both Giants games, one of them, they should have won at least one of those games. And it's just, that defense did the best they could at times. But I mean, I feel like they had at points during the season, you're like, man, that defense is special. And the problem is they're not getting it from the offensive front. And that's what I saw for the most part. I'm like, if they could get the offense consistent with what the defense was pushing out, I didn't say they were going to the Super Bowl.
I agree. No,
I just said they do. I think their defense is Super Bowl caliber though.
Man, so I think we had 3 out of 4 for sure solid defenses in the NFC East that could with the right offense, which clearly Philly's still in there. They could have really made some rumbling noise, kind of what the Cowboys did, what the Eagles are doing. So I agree.
I'm gonna ask y'all a question. This was not on the script, but this question's been swirling around in my mind for a while. Okay, so it's gonna take us off script for about 5 minutes. So say it, get ready. Okay, just get me back on the clock. Okay? All right, the NFC East has been really, really good this year. It's probably the best division in football, in all of football. Okay. Philly's the king. How do you build your team? That's my question to you. How do you build your team? Do you build your team to win your division, or do you build your team to compete for a Super Bowl? Which one do you do? build your team to win your division, or compete for a Super Bowl?
You want me to go first?
Go first. You ready? Go.
I'm coming from an NFC East team. It's both. For us, it's both. If you want to run NFC East, that means you want to win the Super Bowl. That's how it is. You don't go just for a certain point. You should always want to win. You want to win it all. You want to go for their necks. You want to take everything away from anybody. So you win the division, you win the Super Bowl. That's how you build your team.
That's how. Okay, so you division first, basically, and coming out of your division is going to get you to the Super Bowl. Okay,
right.
All right, Darrell, you ready?
I guess so. With this division, I mean, it's good this year. Let's be honest. Right. We don't know what the Giants are going to really look like next year. I mean, I like Dayball. I think what he's doing I think he's doing a really good job there. Don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback. Don't know, the defense has some good moments. They got to still figure out a receiver. I mean, Isaiah Hodges, great things. Love it. I think the Eagles are going to be strong for a while. I think they'll be strong for a while. To be honest with you, I think Dallas has the potential to be strong for a while, but they've got some things they got to fix. So I would say division first. For me, I just think that, the NFC is still kind of wide open. And I don't think, the AFC had those dominant young quarterbacks. I think the NFC has the old guard with a couple of young guys that are, and some mid-range guys that have some good things going for them. So for me, I would say get the division and then, try to work the magic once you get to the playoffs. So for me, I would say division first.
Okay. Say it. Ant, you coming up.
All teams at the beginning of the year, even for the pre-draft process, their idea is to win the Super Bowl. That's the general consensus of every team in the league. We're 0-0. Our idea is to win the Super Bowl. You may have to adjust your team for your division. Like certain division runs certain, like almost like college. Certain divisions run different type of styles. So you have to build kind of half and half. Like Lady A said, both. You got to build it to kind of win your division, but also be able to win outside of your division once you get to that position. Because if you win the division, you're in the playoffs. The people in the playoffs may not play similar to what you play in your division. So you got to do half and half, a little bit of both to get there. But the main thing is to build it to win the Super Bowl.
Build it to win the Super Bowl. And
I mean, just look at this. In our division this year, we're above average quarterback away from it being two teams in the same division playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, it depends on how strong your division is, honestly. If you got a strong division, I mean, it shows you that you're already in real playoff contention, because not every team that makes the playoffs is really in contention. As we've seen, the Giants get smacked, and we've seen a lot of these teams before the divisional rounds, hey, you don't belong here. So
Minnesota,
if you got an NFC East division team like that, and the Eagles are the number one, you better try to find a way to take them down, because all roads is going to lead through there. So if you can't beat them, forget about the Super Bowl.
All right. So the reason I asked this question is because if you look at Minnesota won their division, I think it was about week 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were trash this year. Our division was trash this year. Yeah, most definitely.
Right. They won their division by week 11. In Minnesota, everybody knew they were fraudulent. Their defense was not a playoff caliber defense, which leads back to something that Darrell said, Super Bowl caliber defense. After about week 8, the pretenders and the contenders start to separate themselves. Mm-hmm. But Minnesota kept living off of that one score luck and things like that. And 11 victories this year. They had 13 wins. I think they had the most wins by one or less points, which was like 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
In NFL history, yep.
But they ran their division. They smacked Green Bay around. They smacked Detroit around. They smacked. Come on, they killed their division, but they wasn't real. So, sort of I'm sort of agreeing with everybody, but if you don't win your division, you don't have a chance to really do it. And then you could take the other side of it. You could look at the NFC South and say it. I told you keep me on track, and I done went too far already. You look at the NFC South, and somebody had to win just like the NFC East a couple of years ago, but you know that South was going to bounce back again. And the South shall rise again, right? Ain't that what they say?
Easy.
Easy, brother.
Easy.
Right.
Hey, you want to make America great again too? Move on.
You know what? Hilarious.
That's not what they called it, right? Let's go to this. Let's go to this right now. So we just had the divisional round of the playoffs, and the 4 teams that got through: the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers. We had the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs, but they took on opponents. Let's first look at our Saturday slate, and on Saturday we had the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Turning point of this game had to be the catch and the fumble by their kick returner, along with Chad Henne. First off, Chad Henne coming in, drive 98-yard drive, and then in the fourth quarter was Jacksonville's reception fumble, which was they were going in to take the lead at that point too. Those 2 things changed up this game, along with Patrick Mahomes getting his ankle hurt. What did you guys see from this game? What were your takeaways from this game, Darrell?
Oh man, a quick shout out to my girl Christina Rulu, who we just started covering Jacksonville for Legacy Maker Sports, so we got into there. It was great. It was kind of watching this game. I saw a lot of potential for the future for Jacksonville. Yes. I mean, I will say this. I think everybody came in thinking this is going to be Kansas City bad boy. But what I saw was a very hungry, a team that put up a good fight, but young. This is, the first time for a lot of these guys getting into the playoffs. That fumble at the goal line was a heartbreaker, man. I was like, oh, that's tough. And then they still had a chance. And then Trevor threw a pick.
Right.
And so I think, as Peterson, they got the right coach. They got the right coach now to help get them along. The way that AFC South is looking right now, they can win that. If everything continues to go their way, they can win that division for a while. Houston is a long way away. The Colts, we don't know exactly what they're going to, be next year. And then you got the Titans, who look like they're also kind of rebuilding. And the only team that really has structure right now, in my opinion, is the Jaguars. So they're in a really good spot. But the game overall, I thought we saw what Pat Mahomes can do, even on an injury. And, they still came in there. They did good things. Travis Kelce had 14 catches.
Oh, my God. That was ridiculous.
Just craziness. And the only thing I didn't like is I felt like Chad Henne did a great job on that 89-yard drive. There was no need to bring Mahomes back in unless you absolutely needed him. And I know he was probably pushing for it, but man, protect that ankle, man. You need that guy, in the AFC Championship game. I think most people thought they would have won that game. The way Chad Henne was handling things, he came in there and looked crisp. I felt like there was no need to bring him and put him in that position, but Kansas City got the dub.
And
I mean, I agree with the Jacksonville outlook, but that's like you just said, that division's not a good division. And, if they didn't get, they got hot at the right time to kind of pull it out. But, that Jacksonville doesn't have a quarterback. The Colts don't have a quarterback. I mean, it's a nasty division. And I don't think the Jacksonville is quite ready. They still don't fully know how to win, because I believe if they did, they could have possibly pulled that game out. Yeah. It goes to show that they should have been out a week before. Like I said, I'll keep harping on it. Chargers way to spit the bit royally. Like you should have not. They shouldn't have been in that position. But I like the leadership that I saw from Jacksonville's quarterback. Greeting everybody in the locker room and stuff like that. On their way to the locker room. I don't think Kansas City's who people think they're gonna continuously be. I thought they were gonna cover the spread on the game, but they, it's a lot of hype. It's the Globetrotters, and that stuff sounds cool. The Globetrotters.
The Globetrotters are awesome.
But would they beat the NBA champions 9 times out of 10? No, they got one shot. At some point you got to line up and play some regular old-fashioned plays and
Ant is
How you
That's
gonna
Doctor
go?
Strange.
What
Ant's
kind of person
Doctor
are you?
Strange. I'm looking through all the possibilities.
Like, but what kind of person are you to talk bad about the Globetrotters?
I don't know. Ant does.
That's
Globetrotters
what
are
you kind of
cool.
mean.
They're
Yeah,
being
we're
real
one of
petty
the
right
Cool,
now.
but they're
You
not
being
the
real petty
They're
right
being
now.
real
Okay,
petty right
Globetrotters are
now.
cool, but
Me
they're
and
not
you
the
and your
Boston
daughters were going to
Celtics.
see the Globetrotters.
Yeah,
Ant.
that's
We're going to
All
see
I'm
the
saying
Globetrotters
is,
in Dallas.
Yes,
he being
it's a
real petty.
novelty. It's not
Real,
the
real
standard.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
being
and
real
we're going to see the
disrespectful.
Globetrotters. And we're going to get some front row seats. Go ahead and
I'm
say it.
gonna go ahead and jump in on. I'm gonna follow behind Ann on this because he disappointed me with that little rant there. Anyway, I do believe Jacksonville did learn how to win. Them coming down from 27-0 to win that game changed. It clicked a switch in that team.
Yeah.
I knew because I said it earlier. I told Washington fans to be ready because I thought Jacksonville was just that team in game one, which they actually should have won that game.
Very true.
Yeah.
But very true. We won
You've
that
been saying that,
bandwagon.
and we've been saying that we caught them at the right time early in the
Them
season.
boys going down the stretch
Doc
have
said that.
learned how to win. They I hit the wrong button. These boys need very few pieces to get complete. Jacksonville has 2, 4, 6, 7 picks in this next draft coming up. They need at least 2 wide receivers, at least another offensive line.
They got Ridley coming in next year to add to the wide receiver core.
He's got
That's
to
right.
He got to
They
file
do.
for
I
reinstatement.
forgot
But
about
he
Ridley.
still got to apply for reinstatement. They may suspend him another game just for general purposes. But anyway, I mean,
Just for GP.
just for GP.
Just
You know, sometimes you
Like
got to
they
do it.
said, general purpose.
But I mean, I'm not saying that he won't make a difference. But still, they needed a few more pieces at wide receiver to make it more difficult than everybody else.
Yep.
You know, the defense wise. Their defense had them in quite a few games this year.
Yep.
And I think they need at least one cornerback and maybe another defensive lineman. But that's it.
And Sunshine got to be
That team is right there. And you're right.
got to be consistent.
And Ant was right. They are in a weak division. They can run this division for the next 5 years.
Yep.
That core is young for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Kansas City is Kansas City.
Okay.
Mahomes out there on one leg led them down to that touchdown before he had to go to get off the field. He Mahomes.
Mm.
Now, whether or not Mahomes can go ahead and take off this 0 for 3 against the Bengals at the house.
Oh, we gonna get there. Say it easy
I'm
players.
just throwing it out there. You know,
Keep going.
Easy players. Calm down, Lady A. Get him.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm gonna give much respect to Herbal Essence and his team for this season
she said Herbal Essence
because we
And
really
called him Sunshine. She called him Herbal Essence.
right. I'm gonna give much respect to them. I mean, he's a class act for real. I mean, he come through, he throw the ball, you know, he take off his helmet, hair's luxurious, he's speaking to everybody. He's a class act. I like that. Now, had Patrick Mahomes not gotten hurt, they would have covered Ant. We know. They would have covered that spread. We know. So I mean, I think that next year they'll be even better. I'm like we already talked about it. I was glad that we beat them when we did this season. But as far as that game, I mean, the better team won. Just plain and simple. We can't go around that. Jacksonville, they're on a come up, but they're just not there yet. So he said Pantene.
They call him Pantene
But me and Sid talked about this early in the year. Like he said, we thought that they would be that team from the beginning. Trevor Lawrence is a lot of the reason why they weren't as good as they could have been early because he was an enigma. We couldn't figure out what the problem was. In that Washington game, he missed slants that were wide open and they were never not wide open. If he hits those throws and he can be consistent, they're going to be trouble for sure.
Yeah.
So, I think that Urban Meyer really messed him up.
Yeah.
God, what a dirtbag Urban Meyer is. What a dirtbag.
He probably was in practice.
He's a trashy man.
Right. He was jealous.
I didn't mean to go, but really, when I seen him playing early in the year to what I seen at the end of the year, There were some throws. I was like, that's what he did when he was in Clemson.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what he did when he was in Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
coach makes so much of a difference.
And I was like, wow. You know,
So
but then it's like, you know, next thing you know, he's like, ting, ting.
Here's what I'm noticing.
He's wide open.
Jacksonville and Detroit, I feel, are a year early.
Boo.
Yeah.
They are a year early. They learned some things this year. Detroit has 2 picks in the top 18. Jacksonville, for the team to have picked twice, to be the pick first 2 years in a row, I think they are really, really on to something here, especially with a Super Bowl winning coach. But you hit on something that's really impressive. You said Trevor Lawrence greeted all of his teammates as they were coming off the field. That right there, is probably going to propel them to the next level. The leadership that he's showing, like everybody said the same thing about the leadership that Carr showed last year, going through all the turmoil that they went through, and then you get Josh McDaniels in there, who should have been fired early in the year, but the Raiders would have fired 2 coaches in 2 years.
Right.
He should have been gone. He should have been
gone. He should have been gone, but they had to hold on. So who's the art man out of the car? You kick out the quarterback, right? And now you're kicking the quarterback out for underperforming when your offense and everything else was trash.
Yeah, you give them a new offense every year and like figure it out.
Right. So I think that they are on their way. Let's go to our next game, which was that was the NFC, the Giants and the Eagles, right?
Yeah, Eagles, yeah.
The Giants and the Eagles. All right, so the 2 number 1 teams played. I said that one of these number 1 teams was going to lose, and I was almost correct. I called it Kansas City, but it wasn't them, and it dang sure wasn't the Philadelphia Eagles because I knew they were going to win. Now, I got to ask the question. Are the Philadelphia Eagles more impressive, or were the Giants lucky to be there? Because it was a thorough NFC East butt whipping, and this is not the first time that the Eagles pulled out the whipping stick on the Giants. The Lady A's ready. Get in there.
The Eagles beat the Giants because the Giants aren't that good. They're okay. But they're not that good.
So they just took him to the corner and was like, hey, come here. Let me tell you something.
Let's practice on this here football field. And that's it. Like
we're gonna run 8-on-8, 7-on-7. We're gonna run 7-on-7 drills.
I mean, I'm just saying because no shade to the Giants. They're decent, but the better team. Once again, the better team won. That's what we see this late in the game. The better team is going to win. I mean, as crazy as this NFL season has been, I'm happy to see like, okay, yeah, this win makes sense. You know, the Eagles winning, that made sense. They were playing the Giants. They're gonna win.
Darrell?
I was kind of opposite of you last week, 2-pick. I went and said the Giants were gonna win, but I might have been drunk, and I didn't drink, but I felt like that's right. What I think when I made that decision, I had to go on Facebook mid-game and say I apologize to the Eagles fans because I must have been drunk when I did that. I apologize immediately as soon as I said, "Ooh, I messed up." But my reasoning behind it initially was I thought, okay, you Giants, they struggled. They had that little midpoint. They were doing well during the season. They struggled, but then they started catching on a little bit towards the end. You know, they had a nice win against Indianapolis. You know, they beat the Commanders twice, might as well say twice, but they beat the Commanders. And then, you know, a little bit of a tough one against the Eagles at the end, but they weren't playing anybody. So I said, okay, they go in there, they beat Minnesota, which they should have beat Minnesota the first time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, well, you know what? They got a little momentum going. Dayball looks like he's done an amazing job of, you know, getting what we probably should have seen in Daniel Jones maybe in year 1, maybe year 2. Right. And now we're getting it now a little bit, maybe too late when the contract is up and they got decisions to make. So I looked at it and said, you know, okay, yeah, they got a shot at it. I was wrong. That Eagles team just came out there, and I should have known it. I mean, just the way they played them in that first game of the season, and just came out there and they shellacked them. You know, it was just bad all the way through. It was just bad all the way through. And But they overachieved this year. Lady A was correct. They overachieved big time this year. Nobody expected the Giants to be this good. Daboll, is more likely going to be the NFC Coach of the Year.
Yep.
It probably should be, if not the Coach of the Year, for what he was able to do with that team. I mean, because I thought the Giants were going to be like 4-13. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you.
The Giants have no wide receivers, and that's what
no wide receivers.
No wide receivers.
Yeah.
You give Daniel Jones some talent at the wide receiver spot.
Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way: if you take a number one receiver, okay. You're not taking on number one wide receiver.
No.
But you draft a number one wide receiver. You get a number two wide receiver here. You get a number two wide receiver there. That's a free agent because it's going to be there. And people may want to be in Daboll's offense because they may have saw what he did with Stephon Diggs, and they want those opportunities, those catches. We didn't beat them this year. And they had no wide receivers.
There you go.
Yeah. It's a tough
we
one.
We were on some nonsense anyway, so that's a different story.
Y'all know how I am. When I make the point, I'm gonna stand on it.
Stand on it.
And this is the thing. Brian Daboll, I said it before the divisional round. Him, and I'm trying to think who the other coach was, but I said these are two of the best coach teams left in the playoffs. We expect Kyle Shanahan to do what he's been doing.
Right.
Even though he ran into a real defense last week. But the thing is, when you get to that round, okay, that first little weekend is cute, but when you get to the next round, you need real
lunatic speed.
You need real talent. You can't just waltz in there with me, you, and Lady A and think
I'm sorry, I'm high safety, and I'm coming down with at least 3 picks.
We finna go catch footballs against Darius Slay.
Yes,
and
we can do it.
We can do it.
I'm playing safety. I'm playing defense. Y'all playing offense.
We cannot. I need you to
I'm clotheslining everybody.
I'm just here to be a decoy. I'm just here for decoy purposes. That's it. I'm just gonna stand out there and be like this.
So listen, I don't even think it's, and I'll be honest. I hate to say this, I do, because I know a guy personally who's an Eagles fan, and he makes me sick to my stomach. He's even got green dread tips. But I'd rather see the Eagles go to the Super Bowl than the San Francisco 49ers.
Touche.
But I'm not so sure that the Eagles are still good enough to beat the 49ers.
And I'm not saying the same way I'm saying we getting there.
We get there.
So to answer your question, I think it's just the Giants just say thank you. They should have gave them a check like they do in college. When they beat up on an inferior team, they should have just gave them a nice little game check. Say, thank you so much for letting us come here and beat you up. The Giants, they shouldn't have been there.
The Division 2 check. He tried to give it.
I'm gonna tell you like Jay-Z said.
Pay for half the room and board.
You're so disrespectful today. I swear.
He trying to give a Division 2 check.
Yeah, he is. Hey, I'm gonna tell you like Jay-Z said. Money over. Stick to the script. All right, say it. Where you at?
Well, I'm glad you decided to call the champion to talk about the champs.
The champ to talk about the champ.
That's not what.
Okay. I will. I gotta walk a little ways to get mine.
Anyway, the champ to talk about the champs.
Look at the belt, David. This is what we do.
The first trick. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna get off this soapbox. But I said earlier in the year with the pieces that they added to Philadelphia, it made Philadelphia one of the best teams in the league. I've said this all year long. Y'all heard it from first of all, them drafting Jordan Davis, run stopper in the middle. You can tell when he not on the field, they running the ball. I don't know if anybody noticed it but me, but I have.
Hold on.
When he not on the field, they running the ball right where he's not at.
What's his
when
name?
He's on the field, we got to go around Jordan Davis, University of Georgia. Anyway. But what I saw in this game was the culmination of a team that all got healthy at the same time. Those defensive players all got healthy at the same time. So New York Giants ran into a healthy buzzsaw in that round. They gave them exactly what they're going to give the next team that plays them because they're going to be healthy as well. But I almost said something else. We got
All right.
we can on the other
Yeah,
team.
you got,
But
yeah, you got
but
stop right there.
that's what they ran into.
Can I-
Hold on, lady.
Jalen Hurts. I'm gonna finish. Jalen Hurts played like the guy who has terrorized the whole league this year. When he's in there, they run the ball. When he's out of there, they got an idea of what he's doing. But
All right.
with the dimension of him being able to run along with the Sanders, you can see how many yards Sanders had in the game. Because now they have to respect their read option with they got to respect their read option with Jalen Hurts in that position. Brown is showing you Tennessee made a mistake.
Yep.
Tennessee, you made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You traded away the best wide receiver on your squad,
Yeah.
and it has been noticeable.
Quarterback, we already knew the quarterback was the problem over there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, trash.
We already knew that.
Yeah. So with that being said, Philadelphia is going to be one of the hardest teams, one of the hardest outs because they have depth on defensive line.
Yep.
They got depth at linebacker. They traded for a cornerback who was doing nothing in New Orleans, has turned into a monster all of a sudden. They have depth at all three levels of the defense, which is going to make them hard to beat.
That's actually a good point that they really did get healthy at the right time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just a sidebar. I don't know if anybody notices this, but we never play good against Washington. I don't care if they got
I've
a
That's
team
this
full
year.
of-
That's not
I
last
don't-
year.
No. We don't play good
no,
against
he's
them
talking
ever.
about overall. I've
I
seen it.
don't care if we have a team full of Rui Humuchimaras or however you say his
He
name.
talking about the Dallas Mavericks.
Don't talk about my baby.
If we have, I
Hachimura.
don't care if we got a squad full of Lady A sons. We still struggle to beat that team. I'm not kidding you. It sucks.
Oh,
I don't know
and
why.
let me say this about the Giants before I get off that soapbox. You're right. The Giants didn't have any wide receivers. But
Right.
as of right now, they have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 picks in this next draft.
They
So
about
trust
gonna
me,
be a
they're
problem.
finna have some wide
Oh,
receivers
my
next year.
had them boys
Y'all
humming,
know
man.
why I
Oh,
got
my
these
goodness.
glasses on. Y'all know why.
cataracts?
Tell us.
I shine bright like a diamond.
I'm about to talk about my guy, Joe Cool.
But you were supposed to let me know that you was
I
gonna
did.
be
I
there.
was like, I kept pointing and saying,
Yeah.
Aunt knew and said, yeah, go.
I'm gonna be honest. I had no clue. I thought you were saying, "Can we see you well enough?"
That's
Okay.
hilarious.
I'm talking about my guy, Joe Cool here.
Yes, go ahead, talk about it.
Hey, my man had no problems going into Buffalo. They said, Joe, it's going to snow. He said, who cares?
Yep.
They said, Joe, it's going to be cold. Who cares?
He said we got snow too.
I'm from Ohio. They said, Joe, do you think your window's closing? My window is my whole career.
My window's open.
Oh,
I don't got no locks on my window.
I'm telling you, man.
He said my whole career, and the young man goes into Buffalo, and you saw the tweet that the Bengals put out. My man throws a bomb and just turns around like, yeah, I know
That
where
was
it's
super
going.
cool. I'm
I
not
ain't
gonna
gonna lie
lie.
to you. It was smooth, though, wasn't it?
That was cool. That was the epitome
that
of cool.
was. That
I'm
was
like,
nice.
can y'all show him catching the ball though? Dang, can we see?
Right.
I didn't like
Oh,
that.
you
neither.
saw the wide receiver. He was already tracking.
Yeah, that don't mean nothing.
He was.
He could have. I think he
already
dropped it.
tracking.
I think he dropped it because they didn't show it.
They
they
didn't
had
show it?
to have dropped
It's
it.
too
'cause they-
cool for them to, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, well, listen, let me tell you. My guy Joe Cool's not afraid of any quarterback. He went into Kansas City, he beat Mahomes.
Lady A said, I gotta see now.
Right.
People, you got to realize in that drive, one of their first game this year, Joe Burrow went down on Buffalo. Well, pause. Joe Burrow went down the field on Buffalo without any hesitations, no red lights, no go to jail cards, none of that. He collected his $200, built the house on Boardwalk, and told you he about to put a hotel on it.
Okay.
But he went
That's
down.
what he
I tell
did.
you what, he showed me last year with what happened between him and Baltimore, and they was acting like, oh, well, just wait. I'm like, no, bro. Sometimes you just better than people.
Oh,
And it just is what it is. You have no answer for that young man. And I'll tell you this. I was thinking about this today, and y'all tell me if I'm off on this. If they win the Super Bowl this year, who's better? Him or Patrick Mahomes?
First off, you said if.
Oh, I believe they're winning it all, but I'm just asking. We not getting ahead, remember?
We're not getting ahead.
So I'm asking you. But if they win, they both done been to 2 Super Bowls. They both done won one.
Hold on,
And
pause.
he successfully.
Pause. I got breaking news.
Tell us.
The
Dun-dun-dun.
Thursday before the Super
Dun-dun-dun.
Bowl, we're going to have the one and only Travis Thomas on First String Podcast. Thursday, that Thursday, we're going to have a ball of energy on First String Podcast, getting you ready, help me with your picks and everything like that to get you set for the Super Bowl. All right, Ant, go back in there, man.
Yeah, they would have both been the 2-1-1, and head to head, Joe with less of an offensive line and not comparable defenses has successfully beat that man, which would have been 4 times in a row. Who's better?
I mean, that would mean that he's ascending. I mean, that's what Mahomes, that's what New England was doing to Pat Mahomes before they won a championship. But some unknown reason he could never beat Brady and them, and then he did.
Yeah.
So I mean, that just means Cincinnati is ascending. So it's going to be a good game.
This is going to be a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be a good
So
game.
go ahead, Darrell.
I was a little bit disappointed in Buffalo. A lot of disappointed in Buffalo. But here's the thing, maybe, Brian Daboll departure truly, I think, changed Josh Allen a little bit this year. Because, I mean, he was good at points, and we saw it. But, I think he truly missed him because, I mean, we saw the transformation and what, he was able to do to Daniel Jones for the part of the year. And I think, nothing, I'm not trashing Ken Dorsey, but I don't know, maybe he's just not Brian Daboll. And I think, you got to have that relationship, I think, to an extent with your quarterback coach. And he was a little bit off here and there throughout the season. There was also a game, remember a couple years ago, they played Jacksonville and they lost that game like 9-7 in Jacksonville when Jacksonville was trash. It's like he's starting to get that stigma where it's like, okay, I love Josh Allen. I've been a Josh Allen guy since he came in the league. But he's starting to get that stigma. Like the expectation every year is getting higher for him, and then it seems like he's not meeting that expectation. And he's been back-to-back divisional games. Losing in the divisional round. They went to the AFC Championship game, got beat up by Kansas City a couple of years ago. So the expectation every year is getting higher for Buffalo, and they're not succeeding in that. Like everybody, I know I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, and once again, you go in there, you lay this dud at home in the snow. This is almost like, as a Green Bay Packers fan, this is almost just like how it was when you see all those years of Green Bay. Like, man, we the home team, then we get smacked by, or we lose that game in San Francisco last year, so on and so on. It's like you're starting to get this expectation of being a really good team, and you're supposed to go to the Super Bowl, and they keep losing. They're gonna start questioning him. But what I love is that Cincinnati team went in there and they punched him in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't think twice about it. They were running the ball well. Joe Burrow has this calming effect to that Cincinnati team. And to be real honest, you go back, they've been the best team in the AFC since about
October.
October. They won 11 games in a row?
Yes.
But it's the quietest 11 games in a row I've ever seen. Because all you heard about was the Chiefs and the Bills, and you didn't hear about the Bengals, and they just kept climbing and winning. The offensive line got better and better because they struggled at the beginning of the year. And so it's like, wow, look at this team. I like what I see from him. I will say this: stop comparing Joe Burrow to Tom Brady. Let Joe Burrow be Joe Burrow.
Hey, you cannot compare Joe Cool to Joe
Schmo.
Yeah, Joe Schmo.
You can't compare Joe Cool to the GOAT. You can't.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
They're not the same.
To your point earlier, I just thought about something. The Buffalo Bills, I believe, if they would have faced the Chiefs, would have beat them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to your point, not in the division, that team is assembled to beat the Chiefs.
Yes.
They beat the Chiefs this season.
They did.
And that's why I say I believe if they played them again, they would have beat them again because that was their Super Bowl. So now anybody else that they play, it don't even match up the same. They can't even get up for the game the same because that's who they wanted. That's who they've
been running on emotion since the Damar Hamlin injury. They've been on emotions, right? Mm-hmm. But they were exhausted. They were mentally and physically exhausted. You saw it in the first quarter when Cincinnati went down and scored, and then they came back down and scored again. That team was mentally beat.
Yeah.
They were meant to. Before we looked up, me and Sam was at the basketball game. Before we looked up 14-0. This game is over.
it was over quick, man. Like they were never in the game. I think that's the part that made me say they were never in the game. And
it was like they were disengaged. Exactly.
Yeah.
Josh Allen seemed like he was disengaged.
Yeah.
And it was weird because I was telling people like, man, ain't he used to playing in the snow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like Buffalo was. This is your home. It seemed like everybody was slipping and falling. Y'all will be used to playing in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just beat Miami in the snow like a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And you know, you look at it.
That.
It's the craziest thing to me, you know. And now they're starting to be a little dissension. You know, obviously Diggs situation. Everybody's upset about that. Or Diggs, you know, walked out. But you know, it's just like Diggs is tired, man. He's like, look, man, we're not gonna keep getting, you know, here, and then this keeps happening. So I can see him being frustrated. And I love Josh Allen. I'm not gonna keep saying that, but he's got to figure some things out, man. They need to figure it out, or their window is closing a little bit faster than a lot of people think.
So just gonna be real. The Canada Bills are running off of straight emotion, okay? But you got it wrong. It's not. It goes back further, back to the 90s, okay? When they kept going to the Super Bowl and they kept failing. They have performance anxiety and they cannot perform well.
That's great.
Okay.
Performance anxiety.
So
Tread lightly, lady.
Tread lightly.
Depression's coming next. Said the law. He done left it. He's back there losing it. He's
right now you poking the bell. You
He's back there losing it. Right now.
That's great.
But you know what though, guys? I don't know how much of a correlation that really is. You know what I'm
but
saying?
they can't get right. Y'all seen can't get. I'm sorry, Pick. I should have waited for you to stop.
That's kind of ironic because in the movie, "Can't Get Right" could get right. That's a whole other situation.
You're right.
But I feel you.
Right.
They got
They
performance anxiety
So,
and they can't get right. I ain't getting no pauses in there. She ain't getting no pauses in there.
But
That's why I said lost it.
So that's the reason why Cincy Wutsky won. And see, I'm making a really good point. Buffalo they just can't do it.
Apparently.
It's like, no, I'm just saying, it's like they're allergic to getting to a certain point, like winning the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. But I know I don't like that team, so I mean, it's nothing new.
But I think that whole setup is kind of bad though. If you really go back, because it's like a lot of that stuff really got messed up with them not finishing the game, not making the game up.
Yeah,
that's a letdown to a certain degree. Now we got to play. You know what I'm saying? Another week. All of that stuff, you know, plays a factor. And I do also believe Cincinnati is a bad matchup when you look at their offense. Mm-hmm. You know, Hamlin was their starting safety. Then the other safety got hurt.
In the game.
Didn't come back in the game. Yeah. The other safety, besides those two, he was out for a long time on IR, came back late. So it's kind of a perfect storm of mishaps, you know, all that emotion, it can drain you. But at the end of the day, these guys are professionals. You know what I'm saying? And that game didn't just affect the Bills. It affected Cincinnati. And Cincinnati is still in the AFC Championship right now.
Right.
So, you know, there was talk about Josh Allen, you know, not being able to get them to that certain point. Like, it's like the moments become too big for him sometimes. He kind of rushes, gets turnover prone, you know, overthinks it, which is why losing Dayball could have been a great point. Because now he's a comfort to be able to say, okay, slow it down. This is what we normally do. You see what I'm saying? So
hold on. Cincinnati was the team that was missing 3 offensive linemen.
At one point, yeah, I think in this game they were
missing 3 offensive linemen.
And look what happened. Since
the offensive line dominated.
They did
against a really good defensive line, and that's the crazy part. Like three backups come in and dominate that really good defensive line.
Yes,
they got a good rotation.
You didn't hear Ed Oliver's name at all.
Mm-hmm.
The loss of Von Miller is big.
I was just going to say, what I say last show? Von Miller being gone.
But you didn't hear our guy Tim Settle Jr.'s name at all.
Because I'll say it's like I said. I mean, Von Miller, you may be blocking him all day, and then next thing you know, out of the blue, Here he comes with a hammer strip sack out of nowhere. Change the game. He's done it in every one of the Super Bowl games he's played in.
Yeah. The difference in this game, though, the real difference and the key that y'all have to look at is this. Cincinnati comes out of that AFC North?
Yes.
That's the division. The AFC North, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. What's the common denominator out of that division right there? They all have running games, right? Buffalo, their leading rusher was their quarterback. Where's your running game to bring that eighth man into the box so Diggs and Davis can get off down the field? Where you see that Cincinnati, they have that. Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, and then you got to commit that eighth person to the box, and then we hit you over the head with our three bad wide receivers, and that's the difference in that game.
That's the offensive coordinator fault.
Well,
the offensive coordinator got to make sure that he's doing what he has to do to get him a chance to do that thing. And as we said during that game, there were calls like, okay, why there were plays where the running back wheel route or just outside of his view to his left or right was wide open, and he continued to try to throw the ball downfield. Somebody should be saying, hey, even when he came to the sideline, look, I know you want to get the ball downfield, but the running back to your left or right, whichever side he was on, majority of the time they were uncovered. Take those 4 or 5 yards. At least you're still moving down the field. But
Joe Mixon is a straight running back, Hawk TV. He was never a converted wide receiver. He was a running back at the University of Oklahoma, OU. And Josh Gibson is a converted wide receiver to a running back. There's a difference. That man's been a running back his whole career. Let's move on to our
before you move on, I just want to throw something out there. The Bengals players, some of them are really petty and cutthroat. Y'all heard about Eli Apple?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it though.
He said, for those who don't know, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, some words, and he said they needed couples therapy, and he would pay.
He need to stop talking. He got burned in the Super Bowl last year.
He lied.
Until he redeemed himself, he need to stop talking.
Ooh.
He need to stop talking until he redeemed himself.
Y'all know Eli Apple got dropped off at Giants camp by his mama. Because his mama was it. She drove Eli to his first day of work.
That's nice.
No, it's not. He's a grown man.
So
maybe she wanted to see her baby.
Was it at least like a Porsche or something?
No.
Or did she drop him off in a station wagon or something?
Station wagon.
No,
that back seat that's facing out.
No, he started his career with the New York Giants. Started his career with the New York Giants. Right. Couldn't get right. They sent him to New Orleans.
Yep.
Put him with more Ohio State secondary. Some grown ass men down there. Then he got switched up to Cincinnati, and he's growing up, but he's still toast every now and again. And I hate to say it, y'all know I love Ohio State players, just like Said love Georgia players.
A lot of those guys get right in Cincinnati, though, to be honest with you.
Well, there's no other place to get right because there's nothing to do.
Well, his mama dropped him off in the Honda Odyssey, and he said that was a good foundation.
A Honda
Lady A's on timeout. You find the corner, and you put yourself in it right there.
Wow. In the family mobile. Okay.
Right.
That's a Honda CRV.
That was a road trip, right?
It got to be an Odyssey because it was.
Here we go with our last game.
My football mom,
right here. Game. All right. We had the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Ant, close your ears.
Oh, I'm good, buddy.
You good now? Okay. All right.
Good. I was good then.
You was good. Okay. So San Fran comes out, and I gotta say, honestly, the Philadelphia Eagles, they have a complete defense. San Francisco's defense is just as good on all three levels. The Cowboys have a good defense. Ant has schooled me to believe that they need some linebacker help in another corner. Now, the problem that I saw was San Francisco figured the Cowboys out, and they kept chipping away. And the Cowboys couldn't figure out the San Francisco 49ers as Shanahan made adjustments to what they were doing to him. That's just my point of view is One coaching staff made adjustments, and the other coaching staff did not. All right, I want to get y'all opinion on this game. Let's start. Ant, you're going last.
No,
I'm gonna
let
give
me
you
get this
all
out
the
the
time
way.
you want.
He said, "Let me get this out the way."
Please, I don't gotta.
All right, go for it, Ant.
Listen,
Go for it,
you
Ant.
clearly didn't listen well yesterday because that is not what
I
happened.
did. That's for me and you. Come
on. Now, true enough. They did figure something out, kinda, not really. They did the same thing Philly did. They took that one drive to salt the game away and ended with a touchdown. That's what they did, and we've been weak in the interior run game all year. That's been our MO. And when you can't put the team in a position to have to throw the ball like we didn't do against Philly in that pivotal game, the first one, and in this game, that's what's going to cost you. It wasn't that that they faced the best, and I'm sorry. This was what we wanted to see from the Cowboys defensively. Every team has a hole. We seen Philadelphia get sliced up quite a few times this year as well in the secondary, which is supposed to be their strong suit. Like he just said, when Jordan ain't in the game, they gonna run it right up the gut where he left from. So the problem in this game was Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a bottom tier quarterback. I've said it all year.
He didn't say middle. He said bottom.
No. I mean like bottom of the middle. Like he's 15, 16, something like that. He's an average quarterback. I've said this all year. Y'all know this. He's average to slightly above average.
But you called him Dak instead of Dakota.
He's not the guy that's going to win you anything. And they should have lost that game. I'm sorry. The Cowboys should have won that game. But when you can't put up points and you're seeing guys wide open and he's throwing picks, and the guy who's only played in 6 games doesn't throw you a touchdown, but he doesn't throw a pick, you're going to lose that game every time. Dak Prescott's the reason we lost this game. We need to trade him for Lamar Jackson or something and just move on because this is a failed project. I'm done.
Okay. Say it looked like you can't hold that in.
Oh no, I mean I'm just back here on the observing role. It went pretty much the way I thought it was going to go. I said this all along that they were going to utilize Mitchell and McCaffrey. And I said one of the ways to hurt the Cowboys was to play them at the same time. Guess what? They played Mitchell and McCaffrey sometimes at the same time. They left one in the backfield and they spread the other one out. It makes the defense have to adjust for the running back. It takes one of those linebackers out of there and pushes them to the side. Just so happened, sometimes, it wasn't ready for the Cowboys to be in position. But I will say this. The Cowboy defense actually played very well. The Cowboys actually should have won this game. Because if you look at the score, going into halftime 9-6, they were in position to score. That one of those picks was in the red zone that he threw.
I'm about to get pissed.
All over. So again. All we can do is see what we see right here. I mean, I understand your pain, bro. Trust me, I understand.
Prescott is the reason we are not in the NFC Championship game, bro.
It's okay.
Calm down. Carson Wentz is the reason why we didn't.
Don't compare Carson Wentz to.
Hey, stop it, bro. Matt Ryan did not see the blitz. I'm yelling blitz. He didn't see it. Trust me, I know the pain. Matt Ryan, they in a whole new defense. You don't see the defense on the side here. The pages of blitz and Matt Ryan. What does he do? Oh, I'm gonna look to the left. Anyway,
he did a Wilson. He looked
to the left. Anyway, to get out. What I'm saying is the Cowboys defense played the game well enough to win. The defense did. They contained
until the fourth quarter.
Until the fourth quarter, when Shanahan said, "You know what? We need to start running this ball more."
Sure.
And that's what hurt.
And that's what early said.
And that's what hurt them late in the day. Late in the game, was they started running the ball. So,
oh man,
it's over with now,
bro.
All right, Lady A.
Yeah.
Welcome
I'm
to the
scared
Cows.
to say something. Ain't gonna get mad.
He's
gonna be mad all over
show.
He big mad. All right, so
that's a real Super Bowl defense, man.
So look, I will admit the defense was doing their job. during the game while we're live streaming, we're watching the game. We had our watch party. If you missed it, then sorry for you. You can go back and watch it now. But the Cowboys held San Francisco, and I said it numerous times, to no touchdown until the fourth quarter.
Yep.
No touchdown. Despite the fact that their quarterback, who I'm not going to say his name, threw 2 interceptions. So
Rain.
that guy. So the one with the hips. Y'all know the one with the hips.
The one that got lots of hips.
They said
With
the
the
hips
childbearing
were
hips.
They
Well,
said the hips were alive.
But I mean, they really did, do the defense did what they're supposed to do. I mean, what more can you ask for in a defense? I've been there with my team. Like, the defense is doing their job. Why can't the offense follow along? So it's frustrating to see. If you're a fan, welcome. We welcome you with open arms, kinda. Not really. We don't really like you guys that much, but we understand your pain. So with
See, the Lucy lost it again.
I mean, let's be real. A lot of people don't like Cowboys fans. I ain't talking about Ant. I'm just talking about just in
It's
general.
fine. It's fine.
But no, Ant know his people be tripping sometimes. But
Yeah, they do.
at the end of the day, you can't ask for anything more of the defense. Something has to happen with that offense in the offseason if you guys think that you're going to win. And I know those fans say that, oh, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Not like that. That's not how
Not
you
with
do it.
that quarterback.
All right.
So I'm done. I don't want to get
Darrell.
too worked up.
It's too late. It's too late.
As soon as I said the Cowboys San Fran, Ant was off.
I was 8. I was 8 the last time we went to the Super Bowl. You realize that? I remember because we had Cowboy Day at school. The principal had on a pinstripe Cowboys outfit.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about with Cowboy fans.
And Jerry Jones acts like he wants to win so bad, but you give Dak Prescott $75 million to do that? This is the guy he's been. It's egregious, man. Get the freak out of here, man. We can't win
Is
with
Jerry
that
in the room with
I
Ant?
think he may be. I think he may
Somebody
be in the corner
call
in the room.
call
Somebody
Mike
get
call.
Jerry Jones to
Well, Mike McCarthy ain't it either.
Oh, but he,
All right. I
he
could
was talking
have
trash
called me. I
about
could have told you
that.
that.
Yeah,
He was talking
yeah.
trash
I
about
would have told
that.
you that.
Darrell, let's
Go
go,
get Sean
man.
Payton and Tom Brady so we can come on, man.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you'd have called me, I could have told you it immediately. As a Packers fan, I could have told you immediately he ain't it.
Well,
I was
spicy y'all.
Hey, look. All right, so here's the deal. I'm gonna piggyback a little bit on the defensive front. I felt bad because the game plan was perfect on the defensive front for Dallas. They did a really good job of pressuring Purdy. That's the thing that he hasn't really dealt with in those 6 games that he had so far this season. He wasn't getting that pressure. And everybody knew that the Dallas defense, if they were going to win this game, the Dallas defense was going to be the key.
Yeah.
The defense did exactly what they were supposed to do. Exactly what they were supposed to do. And I feel you, Hank, because, when the beginning, I was like, yeah, you know what, man, Dak deserves money. You know what? No, I agree with you 1,000%. Him and Zeke both, they got their money and they fell off. They got their money. It felt like they got comfortable. Dak, at least in those first couple of seasons, I felt like he was making, smarter throws, better throws. I mean, he still had his moments here and there, but they were better. Now it just seems like there's some type of, I couldn't tell you what it is, but if I agree with you, it's time to move on. You got to find a guy there that, especially with the talent, because there's still some talent on that offense. Yeah. They've got to find somebody that
They need
handle
a second
that
wide
thing.
receiver.
Yeah, I mean, they need a second wide receiver. I thought Schultz had a here and there, but I think that they've got to find. The defense was the problem 2 years ago. Now it's becoming the offense, and that's the crazy thing. 2 years ago, before Quinn got there, it was definitely the defense. Now that defense is turned around. That defensive line is good. They've just got great players all the way around on that defense, and unfortunately, bad plays. Because I told somebody last week, I think on my show I said last week, I said if Dallas wins this game, they're going to Super Bowl. That's the vibe that I had. I felt like if they won that game, if you could have beat that San Francisco team, they were going to the Super Bowl. I don't know. I told them I don't know how they're going to make it happen, but if they won that game, I thought they were going. And unfortunately. I'm sorry, and I've been there,
bro. It's
I'm sorry.
It's hard. Like people
Okay.
try to make it seem like it's comparable. It's nothing worse than being a Cowboys fan.
And I got something for you.
It's worse.
And
Yes,
this is
sir.
from the 757. Not trying to hear that Dak is average quarterback. F out of here. Ed's trying to say, he said they scored 35 points a game. 35 points a game is nothing to laugh at, really, right? Purdy's an average quarterback too, but the difference is he didn't choke in the clutch, and he said he's the Black Kirk Cousins.
Oh no!
This is the thing. Hold on. This is the thing. First of all, I don't care what you're trying to hear. 757. Because nothing has changed about what I said. I've always said Dak Prescott is better than Cooper Rush, but he ain't the guy. Okay, and it doesn't matter putting up 35 points against inferior opponents. But then also have to fight to come back to beat the Houston Texans because Dak Prescott's playing like trash.
And he throws picks at the worst times.
That's why I said the Black Kirk Cousins, because
being up 27-10 against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We sat and watched.
We sat and watched
Kirk Cousins, knowing it's 4th and 8, throw a 3-yard pass. How many times have we seen that?
We've seen it from both of them. And that's the crazy part. We've seen it from both of them.
Yeah, let me try to run for 50 yards when I should run for 35 and get down so we can spike the ball. And that's
okay. So now we got to ask you, Darrell. Thank you for being with us here. We got to ask you.
It's been a pleasure, y'all.
We're down to our final 4. Give me your 2 teams to go to the Super Bowl.
Ooh. All right. I've been flip-flopping on this on the NFC side for a minute. I did say early in the season, I was like, yo, if San Francisco keep going like this, they were my pick. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I like what I saw last week. And I think if the Eagles defense takes the Cowboys formula, but sprinkle the offense in there, they're going to win that game. They're at home. That crowd's going to be rocking in Philadelphia. So I got Philly taking it in the NFC. In the AFC, I'm going with Joe Cool, man. It's, some people just got the, Mahomes being where he is. I don't know. The injury is a tough injury to kind of bounce back in the next week. I think he's still going to make Mahomes type plays, but Joe Cool has this vibe that, look, he knows what happened last year. He lost that game and it's been bothering him. He's just one of those guys that I feel like when the revenge tour is on. So I got Bengals and Eagles, Super Bowl 57, which is going to be on. I'll be down there in media week. So let's go. Let's go.
All right. Make sure you send us a shout out.
Will do.
Listen, it's been a pleasure having you on, Darrell. We got to get you back again. The Wizards will be doing their thing, so we'll have more Wizards inside with you, and then we'll ask you to keep us posted. And as we get closer to draft and things like that, offensive coordinator stuff, I'm gonna reach out. I love having you on. It was awesome. Had you on here for an hour and 30. I told you was gonna be on for about an hour and 30. That's what I usually say, right? So listen. First off, we got to send a shout out to our sponsors, Bet Rivers. Make sure you guys download that Bet Rivers app or go to www.betrivers.com. You must be 21 years or older. Now, I got to tell you, please like and subscribe to the First String Podcast. Give us that thumbs up. Comment. It helps drive our engine on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and we're everywhere. Tomorrow, First String Podcast will be available in the audio format. We're on Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and Apple. So if you missed today's show or you didn't catch it all, you can catch it tomorrow at 5 a.m. It'll be up there, or rewatch it on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. Don't forget, we're on Twitch.
And Discord.
Well.
We're on Discord.
And we're in the Discord. Right. So thank you all. Thank you to Darrell. Please go check out his YouTube page, his Twitter. His Twitter handle is right there at DLO_legacy. And again, your podcast is called.
Yeah, so I got multiple. We got the Legacy Maker Sports Podcast, which is the main podcast on my sports network with my partner Jay Quimby. Then I have One-on-One, which is my individual podcast that I kind of do during football season. I do power rankings, all that stuff, and then I do one-on-one interviews in the off season. And then there's Legacy on Fire, which is like Round the Horn but legacy style. for our network. And we'll have that on Thursday. So just check out any of those 3 shows. We got a lot of great shows on the network. Just go to www.legacymakersports.com and you can check out all the great sports on our YouTube page, on our Facebook, all the fancy platforms. We on there. So except for Twitch, that's something I got to work on. But everything else we're pretty much on. So.
All right. So thank you again. Appreciate everybody in the chat. 757, holla at me. Y'all know what we do. We call it an OG Classic because we get in and we get out. Tell them, say it.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Artlist.io